Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday talking about what's going on in the markets and taking a look at the price of Bitcoin as well. So currently Bitcoin is sat at $27,095, down 2.78% within the last 24 hours. We have seen Ethereum take a move to the downside as well, down 2% to $1,870. Now, over the course of the last week, they are still up. We have just seen some volatility within the markets. We are going to be taking a look at the price of Bitcoin at the end of today's stream and analysing the chart for that as well. So make sure to stay tuned until the very end. But until then, we need to go through the latest cryptocurrency news and see what's been going on. If you are new here, please don't forget, as always, to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest crypto news. But let's get straight into it. First of all, we are going to be talking about SBF, the CEO, well, former CEO of FTX exchange, the one that went bankrupt in November last year and caused the prices of many different cryptocurrencies to completely fall. And we are now seeing that his motion to dismiss charges is meritless, according to prosecutors. So some charges against SBF could be dismissed if opposed by the Bahamian government. Taking a look at this article here, the federal prosecutors said on Monday that SBF's motion to dismiss most of the criminal charges against him are meritless. And they've said the charges track the relevant statuses and the defendant's alleged misconduct falls within the heartland of what these state statutes prohibit. So the prosecutors stated regarding the court filing seeking to dismiss SBF's motions. So he's trying to get rid of all these charges that he's got. I mean, SBF's got about 8 or 9 charges against him right now. It's like conspiracy to commit wire fraud, actually committing wire fraud, all of these different charges. And he's pleaded guilty to them all so far. We have seen some of his peers within FTX pleading guilty to try and get a lighter sentence. Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang have chosen to plead guilty to some of their charges, but they've pleaded to help with the investigations, whereas SBF has pleaded not guilty, and we are going to see him in court later this year, where we see how this all plays out. Now, it will be a very, very interesting one. As I've said on this channel a couple of times, we had that Martini guy as a guest here on the channel when FTX first started to collapse. And we were talking about what could happen in the future. And he was saying he believes that FTX could relaunch as an exchange. And he also mentioned how he could see SBF suddenly walking away with free, with no charges against him, essentially. And so far, we have seen that the FTX new CEO has not ruled relaunching the exchange as out of the question. So it is potentially on the cards that FTX does relaunch as a cryptocurrency exchange. And what we are seeing now is he's trying to dismiss all of these charges. He's going down the second prediction that Martini guy made. So it'll be very interesting to see if this one plays out. It's an interesting thing to overlook here and see how things actually go on. Now, we all know that SBF paid a huge amount of money to many different people that have a lot of power, essentially. So it'll be interesting to see if their power is used to help support this guy. But let's keep an eye on that, and let's move on to the next article here. The next one is about Binance and why CZ said they will not be buying a bank. Now, I've watched this video. If you want to watch the video, which we discuss in this article, make sure to go to the Crypto Saving Expert Instagram, and you can stay up to date with the latest videos in crypto over in the reel sections, and I post a reel on there every day as well. So if you want to see more of my face, make sure to go to our Instagram and give us a follow. And what we can see here is CZ said banks are risky businesses with little revenue, and he would instead make monetary investments than entire purchases. So the problem that we are seeing with cryptocurrency exchanges right now is that banks just don't want to work with them. And Binance has been a brilliant example of seeing these problems in Australia right now. So that banks in Australia have said they don't want to work with Binance Australia anymore. This caused really big problems for Australia's Binance. It means that they've had to remove all of their spot pairs trading with AUD. So Bitcoin AUD, ETH AUD have all had to be removed from the Binance Australia cryptocurrency exchange. And we've also seen some discrepancies between the price of Bitcoin on Binance Australia and on their competitors. Bitcoin was trading at around $5,000 lower on Binance Australia than it was on other competing exchanges. So that is what we were discussing in yesterday's video, because that was a a brilliant arbitrage opportunity to buy Bitcoin on Binance Australia and then transfer that Bitcoin to another exchange. You could make a $5,000 profit. So that's pretty insane. Arbitrage trading is something that really piques my interest there, because it's a really good way of finding ways to make money without taking on as much risk. If you're predicting the future price of an asset, yes, we try and do it with probabilities. We use chart analysis, we use technical tools. However, when you're arbitrage trading, you don't need to predict anything. You just need to make sure you can do it as fast as possible so the prices don't change too much. And you need to make sure that you've done all of your due diligence and you understand all the transaction fees involved so that you can make sure that it's worthwhile. But arbitrage trading is a really interesting tool and something that I want to take advantage of more in the future. Many people set up trading bots that can arbitrage trade between decentralized exchanges all the time, and that sounds like something that right up my streets. That is definitely something I'm going to be looking at. I've spent a little bit of time on it on the past, but I've never fully set something up and left it to run for a long period of time in terms of arbitrage trading bots, but definitely something of interest. Let's take a look at this anyway. That was a complete side note there. So CZ, the founder and CEO of the world's largest crypto exchange, Binance, has revealed why his company is unlikely to purchase any traditional banking institutions despite the current debanking issues plaguing the crypto industry. So during an interview on the Bankless podcast, CZ disclosed that Binance had considered buying a bank and making it crypto friendly, just like one of the interviewers had asked. However, such a financial institution must comply with the regulator's instructions. So as I've said, Binance Australia have been struggling with cooperating with banks in different regions. And what we are seeing now is the interviewers ask the question, how about Binance just buy a bank and then buy Bitcoin, and then Binance can just operate within that with that bank? And CZ has said they have actually looked into this, but there's so many obstacles in the way. For example, the bank then needs to be regulated in the correct way. If the regulators say no, you can't work with cryptocurrency companies, that bank can still not work with cryptocurrency companies whether Binance own that bank or not. The other issues are then that banks for that region, even if it could cooperate with cryptocurrency companies, you need it to be able to make cross-border transactions with other banks, and other banks won't work with that cryptocurrency bank if they're not allowed to. So you'd have to buy a bank in every region, and it would just get more and more complex. So they've said as an alternative method, they are looking to make minority investments into multiple different banks, which may persuade them to be a little bit more crypto-friendly. So they've said here, it doesn't mean you can buy a bank and do whatever you want to do, adding that bank regulators could take away an entity's license if they broke the rules. And he's also said banks are risky businesses. You're taking customer money. You're then trying to grow that money and grow that investment. Most of the time, if something goes wrong, the governments do bail them out. However, he said it's not a very sound business. He said here, many banks don't have very sound business models. They're very risky businesses. They take the customer's money, loan it out, try to make money. If they don't get it back, they declare bankruptcy. In many countries, the governments will save them, but I don't like to run those kinds of businesses. So that's a nice thing for us here to hear, that Binance isn't, CZ isn't the kind of guy to take our money and invest it just like FTX was, SBF was with FTX. But interesting conversation here, and it's interesting to see that Binance have actually looked into this. Looks like they're investigating all the different avenues they can take to help make the avenue in and out of cryptocurrency and having these centralized fiat on and off ramps as simple as possible. So we can see here, before we continue with today's stream, please don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's see how many likes we are on so far. We are currently at, so let's check this, 7 likes on today's stream. Please don't forget, if you haven't already, to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification button. We have a lot more news to discuss, and then we will be taking a look at the Bitcoin chart and see what's going on with the price of Bitcoin. So you can see here, Tether to begin Bitcoin mining operations in Uruguay. So Tether picked Uruguay to launch its Bitcoin mining operation due to the country's ideal conditions for producing renewable energy. According to an announcement on Tuesday, the largest stablecoin issuer, Tether, is starting a sustainable Bitcoin mining operation in Uruguay. So Tether said it collaborated with a local licensed company in Uruguay to accomplish the initiative and is seeking to recruit more experts for the operation. The partnership will see Tether invest its resources into renewable energy production to power sustainable Bitcoin mining operations in the country. And this is exactly what we want to see. We want to see renewable energy being used. So by harnessing the power of Bitcoin and Uruguay's renewable energy capabilities, Tether is leading the way in sustainable and responsible Bitcoin mining. And this is something we want to see, because Bitcoin has a bad name and a bad reputation because of how much energy it consumes. So if we make it more sustainable, that is definitely something that is really positive. Even people that don't really know that much about cryptocurrency. I have a friend that I was talking to about what I do for work the other day, and she was saying, isn't it really bad for the environment? And that was all really that's all she really knew about Bitcoin, just that it was bad for the environment, and just saying that she didn't really want to get involved with because she wants to do things that help the environment. And this is kind of seen to be the opposite of that. But we are trying to improve the industry as much as possible, and mining in a sustainable and responsible way. So it's definitely important to see big companies like this take the lead in projects like that. We can see that Uruguay generates 94% of its electricity from renewable sources, mostly wind and solar. And Tether said that this solid foundation provides the perfect platform to begin its Bitcoin mining operations. And so Tether doubles down on its Bitcoin strategy. Tether made a huge amount of money in Q1 of this year and in 2022. They are growing their capital massively, and the bull market, fingers crossed, is about to start, where we can get some exciting gains as well. Let's take a look at the next article here and see what else is going on. Before we do though, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification button. Here we have Kellogg's files 12 NFT trademarks for Pringles and other brands. So Kellogg's has announced plans for their non-fungible tokens and virtual products for 12 trademarks filed this month for its brands. So if you are interested in NFTs and big players getting involved in the Web3 space, check out that article. We've seen this with quite a few big names now. We've seen it with Adidas, we've seen it with Nike, or Adidas and Nike, however you say the two. And we've seen many different brands getting involved, some of them not so successful. If you want to hear a story that wasn't so successful with a big brand getting into the NFT space, take a look at that Martini guy's recent video where he discussed his worst $100,000 investment. That was a funny video. Definitely recommend checking that one out. Let's take a look at the next one here. So Bitcoin Ordinals creator Rodemar resigns as inscriptions exceed 10 million. So Ordinals inscriptions have spent more than 1,500 Bitcoin in transaction fees since January. Now, Bitcoin Ordinals are essentially NFTs on the Bitcoin network, and the creator of Ordinals has now resigned. So he's told Crypto Twitter earlier this week that he had decided to step down from his position as he had failed to give the Ordinals protocol the attention it deserves. The programmer artist revealed that the pseudonymous creator had agreed to take up the project's lead maintainer position, and they further urged the Bitcoin community to donate towards his welfare as he is an impoverished student. He has said, "I haven't been able to give Ord the attention it deserves, so I'm pleased to announce that Raf Jaff has agreed to step up as lead maintainer. Raf is an impoverished student, and his work on Ord will be entirely funded by donations. If you can, please consider donating." So this is a really interesting switch here and swap here. Now, there's been a lot of debate around Bitcoin Ordinals in the last couple of weeks. The amount of, congestion it has caused on the Bitcoin network is a problem, but we are a decentralized community. We support decentralization. We can't censor any of this on the network as this far anyway. A lot of Bitcoin developers are voting to censor Bitcoin Ordinals on the network, but this is what we get with a decentralized network. We don't really get a choice. Let's take a look at the next one here. We have Securities Watchdog publishes recommendations for regulating crypto globally. So the International Organization of Securities Commission has released a set of policy recommendations for a global approach to regulating crypto and protecting investors. So after the collapse of FTX in November 2022, which completely destroyed the cryptocurrency industry for a period of time, we have seen a huge amount of regulators stepping up and saying, look, we want to regulate cryptocurrency in the correct way. We can't continue to see problems like this take place. FTX really harmed investors in the space, and we need regulation to make sure this does not happen again. So let's take a look at this anyway and see what they have suggested. So FTX's failure has prompted the International Organization of Securities Commission to publish policy recommendations on how to regulate crypto and protect investors on a global scale. And we can see here that they were headquartered in Madrid, in Spain and is an association of organizations from various countries that regulate securities and futures markets. So the recommendations cover 6 core areas aligned. So let's take a look at this. First of all, conflicts of interest arising from the vertical integration of activities and functions, market manipulation, insider trading, and fraud. So cross-border risks and regulatory cooperation, custody and client asset protection, operational and technological risk, and retail access, sustainability and distribution. So stablecoins may constitute a security according to this global regulator, and they've said here, however, stablecoins also present specific risks that differ from other crypto assets due to their purported stability in relation to reference assets. These risks include those that flow from a lack of transparency, lack of verification of underlying reserve assets, and potential for a bank run on the stablecoin. So we have seen a couple of stablecoins have their faults in the start of this year. We did see USDC depeg from the dollar because SBV had its problems, and that is where USDC held a large proportion of their reserves. So we can see fluctuations in the prices of stablecoins, even those that have taken the top spot and have been sat in the top 10 cryptocurrencies in terms of market cap for a long period of time, do have their risks attached to them. So the regulators are trying to regulate these in the correct way, and I think stablecoins is something that the regulators are really focusing on. We have also had similar things from the UK regulators. There was an article where they discussed banning the use of the word stablecoin when educating people about cryptocurrencies and advertising stablecoins in the UK. The regulation is going to take a long time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, and the regulators, we as a cryptocurrency community, I believe, should be pro-regulation, but we just need to make sure that they take into account how us within the community want the industry to grow. We don't want it to stifle growth. We want to still see the industry improve, but if we don't see any regulation, we see this confusion, we see this lack of clarity, we see cryptocurrency companies struggling, and we see the banks not really wanting to cooperate with the cryptocurrency companies. And in that scenario, it makes it difficult for people to on and off ramp their from fiat to cryptocurrencies, and we want the accessibility to cryptocurrency to be easy in order to see that massive wave of adoption. So let's take a look at the next article here and see what else is going on. So we have crypto exchange Bybit joins others to exit Canada. Now, Canada, let's start from the beginning. This is because of recent regulatory development in the region, just like I've discussed. If cryptocurrency companies find it difficult to operate within a region because of regulation, at the moment they're just exiting and looking at other areas, specifically Asia and Hong Kong. Let's take a look at the next one here. So token unlock events this week. We have Optimism and Sweets. They are very interesting tokens. If you want to learn more about those, make sure to go to cryptosavingexpert.com, press that news panel there, and you can get access to the latest cryptocurrency news. Finally, let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin. We have an article here where veteran Bitcoin and crypto analyst Timothy Peterson of Cane Island Alternative Advisors had forecast that $40,000 will be an inflection point for Bitcoin, leading to an all-time high. So $40,000 is not too far away right now. And we can see here that he's predicted if we do cross $40,000, Bitcoin could soar to an all-time high. Now let's take a look at this. Metcalf value up huge over the past week, on and off-chain metrics up across the board. All this is needed to launch the rocket is a change in the interest rate environment, which is likely in the next 12 months. Once Bitcoin price crosses $40,000, it will soar to all-time high. Now, if you want to learn about the Metcalf model, make sure to go over to this article on Crypto Saving Expert. But let's take a look at the Bitcoin price here. Let's take a look at the charts and see what's going on. Now, Bitcoin obviously has seen a slight move to the downside. If we talk in relation to that article, first of all, let's add on the Bitcoin halvings here. So Bitcoin halving events. We can see here, if you add this onto your chart, you can see all of the different this was a bad example. We need to go to BTC USD Bitstamp, and then you can see the history of Bitcoin a little bit more clearly. It goes more back in time there. It's more backdated, I should say. So we could see here that the next Bitcoin halving is predicted to be around April 2023, and I have to say 2024. Sorry, I have to say, I cannot wait. I am so excited to see how Bitcoin performs in 2024. So right now we are in this in-between phase. We have seen the bull market followed by the Bitcoin halving. So typically what we've seen in the history of Bitcoin is every time we see a Bitcoin halving, the bull market really starts and we start to see that really nice upwards movement. Right now what we've seen is we've seen that nice upwards movement for the price of Bitcoin. We have now come back down again. And now we've started to see that rise as of the start of 2023. This was like as soon as the midnight ticked in on December 31st, 2022. As soon as 2023 started, Bitcoin just shot up in an upwards movement. If you zoom out, you can really see that. So what we can see here is that typically an all-time high occurs just after the Bitcoin halving. I mean, for example, let's get a trend line here. This was the all-time high. And then that's when an all-time high was first created. Then this was the all-time high. And then that's when the all-time high was then created. So I believe that, in my personal opinion, I think an all-time high will not be created until after the Bitcoin halving, which is predicted to be in April 2024. Now, as the article stated, they are waiting to see this change in the interest rates and start to see change in interest rate environment, which is likely within the next 12 months. So I'm expecting to see this slow slog. Now, we have seen this over and over again. Just before the Bitcoin halving, things can get pretty dull, I would say. Not dull, obviously every day in crypto is exciting and there's always opportunities to make money, but there's no immediate upwards movements. We're not up in a straight line just yet, in my opinion. I like to follow history at this point in time, and I'm expecting to see some sideways action here, but I am getting pretty excited. And as we can see here from the Bitcoin halvings in history, every single time we've seen a Bitcoin halving for the year prior, we end up in a net positive. So I'm looking forward to see how we finish this year. I'm sure it'll be a good one, but we need to keep an eye on that anyway. And that is how I'm keeping a cool head. I'm not getting involved in all these bullish price predictions that are saying we're going to $100,000 within the next month. I'm trying to be a realist this time. I got caught up in the bull market last time and I was expecting to go to $100,000 and it didn't happen. So I'm trying to be a realist. I'm always going back to historical data, looking at how Bitcoin has performed in the past and putting that on today's markets. I'm not expecting the pattern to break because it's not broken yet. The trend is your friend until the end. So let's take a look at this here so we can see that we have these levels of support and resistance. We are currently coming back down to test that level of support at 26,900 to 26,600. We did get rejected, unfortunately, yesterday at this level here. I think it may even be time to add a new level onto our charts here so we can see that within this zone, I think this might actually be better to be a zone. If we zoom out a little bit more, it's hard to zoom out on this chart because there's so much data within this price range. If we take a look at this zone here, let's see if it has any correlation back here. This is definitely a key level on the charts, I believe. We've bounced this level here and again here and again here, here and here now as well. So I think somewhere between the $28,000 and the $28,300 level is a significant level to keep our eyes on right now. We also obviously have that level of resistance again at 27,700. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on for today. But that is all we have for today's stream. So thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you all back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. BST time talking about the latest cryptocurrency news. So I hope to see you all then. Goodbye.